Wizzo Wacky welcome within Hiran Homo Mechanica Robotized channel. For Dynamica discussing the first part of Zaggle Zooogle screenplay series. Conceived, written, illustrated, and in part animated by Andrew James Stewart. For now publishing forth towards if wins enough readers may suggest big screen movie can be made one day along with an entire cinematic series. Exploring economics through cyberbot world afar. And yet remains close enough to our everyday flesh and blood environs to hopefully still resonate with us. Invited forth to preside and decide how best we econo go forward through choosing between the vying econo prescriptions, advice, and arguments of Keynes, Hayek, and Milton being now sci-fi re-envisaged, revving robotized, for heading their respective schools of thought. Having already helped to shape, influence, and inform much of the econo world that we partake today, to now ask you decide between them. As the economy is evidently too important to be decided by economists, politicians, or journalists alone when it affects a mass and past, present, and future livelihoods. Perchance now intrigued enough, if not partake the screenplay, but may find herein free content of some interest, illumination, and enjoyment. And if new to this channel, 'tis best consumed via along with other content, and no doubt more content will be added in the future. And if upon imbibing to surviving such, then you may very well be foolhardy brazen enough to check out the first part of this series and its summary. Available online in book, ebook, and audiobook in various alternative editions, and trying to offer as much choice and variety as possible for winning a readership, if ever one could, when being about economics, but still remains important enough to now find out if economists merit movie made about them and their extraordinary event-driven subject. As one economic crisis is worse enough, but more than one economist wanting to solve it is even worse. So now via this story asks you decide between them. Without much promotion but hope, when now released. Availing various editions in different illustrations, voices, and formats. Offering as wide as choice as possible to suit all tastes, or if ever could be for an unfilmed sci-fi screenplay chancing to be filmed for exploring economics. And yet matters to us all beyond mere economists. As one crisis is worse enough, but more than one economist wanting to solve it is even worse. Enough to now ask you decide between Keynes, Hayek, and Milton if they cannot agree among themselves. And if upon viewing our free content alone may very well suffice you enough to be able to decide who you prefer between them. But if still undecided, then pray try out especially the VSV illustrated screenplay that works quite well with its mega multi-voiced audiobook. Perhaps unprecedented, and ambitiously marshalling over 100 AI voices along with various voice actors through trying somehow capture what the screenplay could sort of sound like if ever made big screen movie. But if such vaunting aspiration never comes to pass, the author cannot be reproached for trying his utmost and presenting the screenplay as best he can. An unfilmed screenplay awaiting filmed, transcending laser explosive sci-fi norms, for now instead exploring economics, foremost entertain then enlighten you enough to adjudicate, or at least enable to greater understand some of the differences fault-lining economics today. Perhaps asking too much of you, yet the author felt still worthy asking. In storylining attempting array Keynesian, Austrian, and Chicago arguments that, however complex, abstract, or difficult to grasp, can really matter to us all, indeed affecting our everyday livelihoods, especially when governments implement them. as he, like yourselves, is no economist, but simply lay intrigued looking in for well-intended trying fathom way up workout to explicate make greater sense of all of this socio-politica, especially econo interminable disputation. Storyline starring almost strangely celebrating hapless politica process, myriad media, and above all econs and their theories. Perhaps deserving movie made if enough agree for hopefully enjoying a somewhat peculiar offering, beyond merely humoring econs to engaging everyday wider readers, or if there ever could be for a sci-fi econo screenplay. And although econs be the subject, but author felt being important indeed high time after wrapped about to now aspiring big screen bring it on. After going on century of endless econo aggro now ending up filmed if enough by into wish it so however far-fetched right now. And pray note the author does not loathe economists, moreover agrees with their insistence that they are trying their best, but would all agree economics can be improved upon after latest most notably 2008 fiasco. And all agreeing things went wrong, but disagreeing how best redressed moreover, which econo theory better accounts for the 2008 crisis. And now vexo ventilated wider storyline explored in screenplay. Heralding first part of sci-fi econ series initiated through publishing unfilmed script to filmed route via bottom upward reversed engineered. Rather than traditional top-down studio developed then filmed put out there. And if his schema fails however fallible foolhardy fantastica and found ill-judged it is still worthy trying to do something different than not try at all. For after writing VSV abridged and its summary the author is hard at work on the unabridged. Hopefully released next year to then ascertain if his econo series merits enough interest to complete further parts. As be no point penning any more scripts never likely to be filmed. But for now farewell and no doubt reach out in due time for talking to some of those risking robotized. And perhaps best see how it goes if this wins any readers if at all. As no studio would have developed gone forward with a project such as this. Hence doing it thus far this way through publishing upward unfilmed script, perhaps circumventing the traditional process. So finally, farewell. And if now intrigued pray order your copy, being undoubtedly something different and reading no book but an unfilmed screenplay aspiring filmed one day or maybe not. But dare maybe enjoy our Zaggle Zooogle channel bulging with free content enough almost need not read the screenplay with so much stuff online. Providing a fresh daring mayhap interesting take on the ever extraordinary social science of economics now made sci-fi robotized. And translating through sci-fi genre storylining transforming flesh and blood contemporary socio-politica notably econo competing interminable clashing discourse to disputation. From invariably hapless politicians, bungling bankers, mainstream and online media chatter watery, investors, and even have included burgeoning Bitcoiners. And above all econs, wrangling over what govos should do about the economy that we all depend on. For serving us all the world over transacting together in mutual cooperative exchange buying selling goods or services by and large seamlessly peacefully and productively rather than exchanging bullets and bombs with one another. And although the econo debate into disputation going on heated rhetoric to ad hominem aggro can seem almost warring and as much tit-for-tat storyline suggested and ventilating their robust heated and impassioned opinion. Firing up reflecting the importance of their argument but still remains within warring words than actual war. As we all know the difference even in the exaggerated storyline. That despite some assumptions associated with sci-fi, this story genuinely aspires, however fallible, to actually try discussing something difficult, tangible, and serious that affects everyone, ergo the economy. Admittedly, all of this may sound too outlandish in publishing an unfilmed script when scripts are only published when made. And on top of that is sci-fi, but being all about economics. Categorized either as sci-fi or could be found in economics section, perhaps, which can hamper its reception to book buyers, anyone, anywhere. For despite what too many may assume, this story is not a humiliatory hatchet job, especially on econs, who admittedly deserve much opprobrium from the outside heaped upon them, especially after '08, but are allowed their say against each other within tit-for-tat storyline schema and trying to balance out their arguments to invite audience judge them, as what the authors set out to do from writing to now publishing it, and trying present their extraordinary argument through sci-fi means. Beyond mere usual surface spectacle when now exploring economics for a mass consumption, perhaps? Well, that's the noble, however imperfect, well-intention of the lay author looking in at these interesting, lively, and well-spoken, opinionated bunch now characterized, who evidently enjoy dare enthralled in discussing the economy that herein tries discussing it wider to a mass about the economy enough to provide us with some form of a choice/option between them that's worth exploring. So, and finally farewell for now, to hopefully enjoy our channel.